So let's explore this a little bit, Anthony. And let's start with, we're going to start with the opening solo from Mussorgsky's Pictures at an Exhibition. Bravo, bravo. Beautiful tone, beautiful. It's the right dynamic. It says forte. A lot of times when brass players see the dynamic forte, we get overly enthusiastic. And it's very easy to play with a too blaring of sound. This is a very mature and elegant sound you have. Now, you chose to play the second phrase a little bit louder, which is fine, but if you're going to do that, you should follow that same ideology for phrase 2 here, right? Here, okay? This was a little bit weaker for me at the end, and because it's the end of the excerpt, it should have a finality to it, you know? So, and the only other criticism I have is that I'm doing this as you're playing, which is I'm pulsing the eighth notes, I'm subdividing the eighth notes. And every member of a committee in a brass section will do that because they want to know, as first trumpet, do you have steady rhythm? Can you lead the brass section with impeccable rhythm? So your tendency as you got further along was to rush, probably because you're nervous. So you need to get that click track in your mind before you play. Beam, bom, 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 bom. Now, these eighth notes, you notice that he wrote a line over the first, not over the second. And there's something about this when I hear it performed for solo piano, where the piano, because they can't really crescendo like we can, but they stretch those two eighth notes, you know? So it'll do two things. It'll give it a little more a feeling of being settled, right? And it will prevent you from rushing. Now, where are you going in this first phrase? Which note are you going to? In the very first bar. Can you play it for me? Just the first bar. Mm-hmm. Can you give a little more direction to the C? That's it. You hear a difference? Now, yeah. And maybe because I played it, I don't know, but now you're singing out a little bit more too. Don't screen the sound. I know, again, if you're nervous, the tendency is to want to go backwards. You want to hide. But not with this instrument. You can't hide. So, so, you know, if anything, feel like you're leaning into the instrument, like you're literally singing into the instrument. And let's try two phrases now with the same kind of release of sound, not rushing the eighth notes, and phrasing to that C. Beautiful. Okay, let's work on the last two phrases. Huh? He's pretty good. Now, when you got into the octaves, right, the octave jumps, I felt you a little bit put the brakes on before you jumped. Can you give me more sound on the bottom and literally trampoline up to the top note? Let's just put that into play at rehearsal number 1 for those 2 bars. So louder on the bottom? Yeah, much louder on the bottom. That's it. Don't rush the eighth. Body, bom, beam, bom, bam, bom. Stretch the first note of the duple. Okay, let's do the last phrase. Now, because you chose to play phrase number 2 in the intro louder, let's mirror that in the last 2 bars. Give me a sense of finality on the last bar. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Okay, next excerpt. We tried to come up with a list today that gives some variety, both in articulation, in sound, in style, in personality, and in instruments. So the next piece we're going to do is the Danse Infernale from Stravinsky's Firebird Suite, the 1919 version. This is a complete ballet.